Okay, we'll go ahead and kick it off. This is the meeting of the Kubernetes Storage Special Interest Group. As a reminder, this meeting is public, recorded, and posted on YouTube. If you have anything for the agenda today, feel free to add it. You can find the link in your calendar invite. We're going to go over the 130 planning spreadsheet for reviewing the items that the SIG storage has committed to for the 130 release, get status updates on those, and then we'll go over the remainder of these agenda items. So far in the release, today is February 8th, which means it's enhancement freeze date. This means anything that we are committing to for the 130 release should have its feature reviews done by today and signed off and approved and merged. The KEPs should be merged, and then we will be on to our next milestone, which will be code freeze happening on the 5th of March. So with that, I'll go ahead and switch over to our planning spreadsheet for 130 and start getting status updates. First item that we have is recovering from resize failures. For 130, this stays in alpha. API changes were merged in 128. We still need to address quality of service and address API concerns. I don't see Hemant on the call. Does anyone have updates on this one?
I believe we actually don't have we don't have to follow the deadline for the CAP merge. So he will be making some changes to the CAP, but since we're staying alpha, so we are fine.
Got it. Okay, that sounds good. Just capture that here. Thank you, Sheng.
No problem.
Next up is the volume group API, which will remain in alpha as well this cycle. Anything new here, Sheng?
Not today. So we basically made changes. We got the sidecar release. Now there are some potential changes to the API. We have not started that yet.
Got it. Okay. Moving on to the next item, provision volumes from cross namespace, snapshot, PVC, continued design work, volume populator, work in progress. I think Mustafa was working on reference grant. Anything new here?
I have not heard anything.
Okay. Let's keep that one as no update for now. And move on to the next one, which is CSI volume health. Adding additional metrics and events and end-to-end tests. Anything new here?
No, still no update. I pinned the person who is working on this, so waiting for an update.
Got it. Cool. Thank you, Sheng. Next we have CBT, change block tracking. This is alpha, going into alpha this cycle. I believe Ben has approved the CSI spec and James was taking a look at it now. Anything new there?
I think that's the update. We did talk about that in yesterday's DP working group meeting. I think James mainly has one wording concerns. I think Ben is going to go back and reply. So they need to agree on how to write up that part.
Got it.
Yeah, hopefully we can get that resolved soon.
So hopefully that should happen soon, and that'll be a big milestone.
Yeah, but for CAP, I think we probably will just be like track auto tree because we couldn't get the CAP merged today. Michelle has not got a chance to review it yet, so.
And are we still tracking alpha for this cycle then? I guess we didn't have any
So
entry.
it is still, so we can still try. I'm not sure if that, because it's all, we can do this like track auto tree, right? So we don't have to follow the entry deadline strictly.
We have nothing entry for
We
CD.
don't, right, we don't have anything entry.
Perfect.
So it's still possible, but not sure, right? This is still a lot of work, even if cap is merged.
Yeah, March
A
is
lot of
coming
work.
up fast.
Yeah, and we also still we discussed this the repo. I see the Ben just joined. We just discussed the repo thing because last time in last meeting we talked about whether we should have a separate repo. So the folks who are dev owners for this one, they will discuss and get back and and let us know whether they have cycles to maintain an independent repo because they need to keep up with the
See, why don't you
releases
do the
and
Kubernetes CSI one?
so last time we talked about whether this should be added to the snapshot repo or should we open a separate repo just for this feature, right? Last time we talked about this and then there's a
Same
discussion.
organization as kubecsi, but a different repo. Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah. Okay, so Ben says his connection is not stable. Okay.
Cool, no worries. All right, thank you, Shing, for that update. Next, we have enable privileged containers for Windows to replace CSI proxy for Windows out of tree. This is designed for this cycle. I think last update here, Manu may be able to pick this up in February. Manu, are you on the call?
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
Awesome.
So Eddie from our team will probably pick this up. He had a couple of questions. Eddie, you want to go ahead?
Yeah, hey everyone. So I blocked out some time in my calendar for the next couple of weeks to work on this task. So just wanted to get clarity on the scope of this work. Is it mostly just implementing this over on the driver, or are there any upstream contributions we can make to help out with this task?
So my understanding is this would start with upstream. I see Mauricio on the call. Mauricio, do you want to give more background on this?
Sure. So we have a cap. This is still in progress. There are a few comments that we need to resolve, and we also need to define the graduation criteria, which, if I remember correctly, was about having at least 2 drivers using the new version of CSI proxy. Also on the CSI proxy side, I think that it was in a stable version, the library version. We had some alpha tags that we wanted to use in the PDCSI driver that we haven't done yet. But if there is movement, then maybe we can prioritize it too.
So maybe Eddie, we can have you connect with Mauricio offline and hopefully he can answer any questions you might have to ramp you up.
Yeah, that sounds good. I'll do that. Thank you.
Cool. Thank you both. All right. So I'm gonna move on to the next item, which is SE Linux relabeling using mount options. This is for read write once pod. Keep that in beta and on by default in 130. Ian, are you on the line by any chance?
I think he sent a note saying he won't be able to join the meeting today.
Got it. Okay.
So, but I think this particular item, we just keep track of it because he has this one tab that has 2 feature gates. So it's kind of confusing. So the first one actually stays the same, no change in this release. But the next one is the one that he's working on.
Got it. So this will have a cap.
So it's the same cap. This one, the next one has the same using the same cap. But for the first one,
There's no
he's
changes.
not going to make any changes in this release. Yeah.
Got it. And then the cap was merged for
So this is the one that I was just asking him because he did an update. So I did approve from SIG storage side, and still we because there's this PR approval, right? So I see somebody has already is the shadow of PR. He reviewed it and he seems to be fine, but he didn't add the label. I believe he need to talk to the PRR approver to take a look and add that label. So I'm not sure. I just pinned the Yan. Not sure if he's actually going to pin them, or otherwise I can help pin them to prove.
Okay, that sounds good. And then for this one, can I just cross it out for this cycle?
Yeah, that may be easier.
All right, cool. Thank you so much for that update, Xing. Next, we have CSI migration, Ceph RBD and Ceph FS. Anything new here? Do we have Humble on the call?
So this is for next release. So we just keep track.
Yes, that's for
here.
131. Okay, I'm gonna skip over the 131 ones. These are tracking. And in fact, I'll just move them to the bottom to make it easier. Okay, next we have always honor reclaim policy. Deepak is looking at the updated cap. Anything new on that?
So this one, I think, I don't think we can make the cap merge deadline because this actually, we are moving to beta, right? So we need the ETU test merged first. So right now, Kalari submitted APR, which is the ETU test. We are reviewing it right now.
Got it. Okay. Are the cap changes required for this cycle or?
There is a cap update, but we can merge it because we need to get the ETU test merged first. So the cap basically is to move this to beta. So we can't move it to beta in 1.30. This has in 3 components. So this one is going to be 1.31.
Yeah, that's fine. So I'll just leave this as API E2E test submitted under review. And this is already targeting alpha, so I think we should be good here then.
Mm-hmm.
Cool. Next we have volume attribute class, which is staying in alpha for 130. Any updates on this one?
Oh, I see Michelle is on the call. Michelle, I don't see Sunny. Michelle, you want to talk about
sorry. This is
Volume
yeah. I
attribute.
think there's still a number of features that we need to implement for this before we can move it to beta. Both features and test coverage.
And do you know if Sunny and Matt are committed to making the changes for this cycle? I think there's are there any changes that need to go into this cycle for while it's
Yes.
in alpha? Okay.
Yes.
Okay, cool.
So one quick update on this, Sunny. Connor from my team who worked on the original upstream changes with you, he might be able to help out in a couple of weeks with some of the end-to-end tests that you're planning on writing. So he'll reach out once he has some cycles, but just wanted to give you a heads up.
Awesome. Great.
Cool. That's good news. And you said that was Connor? C-O-N-N?
Yeah, CONNOR.
Perfect. All right, glad to hear that. Yeah, feel free to reach out to Michelle and she can help connect you with Sunny and Matt.
Will do.
All right, thank you, folks. Next, we have Robust Volume Manager Reconstruction. This is going to GA this cycle. Did we get the cap merged on this one?
Yeah, this cap is merged.
Awesome. Cool, that one's on track. Next, we have storage capacity scoring. Any update on this one, Michelle?
I haven't had time to look at the cap.
Okay.
But yeah, so I don't think it'll make this cycle.
Got it.
But I'll put it on my radar to get done early.
All right, sounds good. Thank you, Michelle. Next, we have volume expansion for stateful sets. We were looking for volunteers for this one. Anybody on the call interested in helping with this one? Okay, I'm gonna declare this one, crossing it out for this cycle. And if anybody has interest in picking it up, we can come back to it. Next, we have non-graceful node shutdown. And last status here was checking with Ashutosh to see if he was interested. Anything new there?
Oh, so he has a PR out. It just has some failures, and I pinned him. He said he will take a look. I think he has been traveling, so
Right.
it's still there, still outstanding.
Perfect. Cool. Thank you, Shane. Next item is add option to disable 6-minute force detached timer. Anything new from Rohit on this, Ben?
Hey, can you hear me?
Yep, we can hear you.
Yeah. So what needs to happen is we need to merge some help text to the website repo, and then merge the change to the Kubernetes repo that implements the change and has the pointer back to the website for the actual help text.
Got
It
it.
was unclear which thing should happen first because it's sort of a circular dependency. But I think I just sat down with Rohit yesterday and we wordsmithed the website text. So we should see that PR updated any moment now. But do you know which should merge first? If you have a feature that has help text that points to the website.
Yeah, I would check with the docs folks. So whoever is helping review the website changes, ask
It's
them in
Tim,
PR,
yeah.
let them know, and they could probably help you figure out the order of operations.
Okay. Yeah. We just spent like a half hour yesterday getting the help text exactly right. So it should go in soon.
Cool, sounds good.
Then, what about the code change? Is that already there, or
It's been sitting in a PR for like 6 months, or maybe not that long, but since before the holidays at the very least.
Oh, okay.
Because there was a quibble with the help text, and we said we need better help text, and that needs to be a pointer to the website, and that has to be a separate PR. And so that's what stalled the thing in the first place. So once we get that
okay.
sorted out and everyone's happy with the help text, I think the feature itself is fine.
Okay.
Cool. So it looks like this is getting close. Thanks for that update, Ben. Next, we have Cozy overall move to beta. Started work on E2E and sanity test plan was the last update. Anything new on this one?
Yeah, so the Cozy team, they started to work on a CAP update. So that's still in progress.
Got it.
Yes, we are not going to make it in this release.
Okay, I think that's okay. So what we can do is keep it in design for this cycle, and then hopefully.
Oh, it is alpha, right?
Oh, it
So
is alpha.
yeah,
Okay, so
keep alpha and yeah.
oh, right. This was moved to beta. Okay, yeah, that makes sense. So keep it in alpha and try to get the CAP merged.
Okay.
Alpha, try to get the CAP merged. Awesome. Thank you for that update. Next, we have CSI sidecars all in one. Mauricio, I see you left a comment. Please update to list Mauricio and Moang.
Yes, I have some updates about this one.
Perfect.
So Yinghui, whose ID I left in that comment from Ali Cloud, is contributing to this initiative. We are working on identifying across all of the sidecars which are the common things that could be moved a layer above. And this layer above would be in the monorepo, so that the monorepo can initialize all of the sidecars from a single location. I also reached out to Manu, and it might be possible that AWS also contributes, but we haven't met yet.
Yeah, we'll probably meet next week, Mauricio, and we'll figure out how we can help out in this space. But yeah, that's something that I think we would like to see happen in terms of moving to a single site start at some point. So
Good stuff. Thank you, folks. So Mauricio, I'll put you as the reviewer, and I'll put this person as the primary dev.
Okay, sounds
yeah,
good.
I think you can also add Connor to that list.
Perfect.
And then we'll provide an update after we have met.
Sounds good. All right. Thank you, Manu. Thank you, Mauricio. Good progress. I'm gonna click on that and call it started. Next we have control volume mode conversion between source and target PVCs. This is moving to GA for this cycle. Last update, Ronak was working on the KEP update. Any updates on this?
Hey, yes, the KEP, the update was merged, but there was one more comment after that, which is out for review right now. And then the next step would be to add some documentation.
Awesome. Thank you, Ronak, for the update. That's good news. Let me go ahead and mark that as started. And I think that's it. The rest of these are trackers for 131. So we'll go ahead and switch back to the agenda doc. Looks like we've got one item. Question about honor PV deletion policy from Xing. Xing, you want to talk through this one?
Right. So we added this feature a few releases ago. What happens is the initial problem was so you have a dynamically provisioned PVC, but depending on if you delete the PVC first or if you delete the PV first, the deletion policy is not always honored. So if you delete the PV first, then it's actually not getting the delete policy is actually not getting honored, right? So that's this feature. But when Calorie is helping to add AE2E test, so there is another question coming up is regarding static provisioning. So right now, this policy is only for dynamic provision. If it's statically provisioned, basically we're just checking this annotation. If it's not there, then even if it's deleted, then we don't honor it. So it's still confusing. So I just want to see whether we should also change that.
And just to make sure I understand, so basically today, if you have a PVPVC that's dynamically provisioned and you go and delete the PV object first, then the automatic deletion of the underlying volume is not going to happen. And this is trying to fix that. And in trying to fix that, a related question came up on if a volume is statically provisioned, even if you delete PVC, it's not going to trigger deletion. And should change that to allow for dynamic deletion of
if we say
volumes.
Correct. Yeah, if we want to say we honor the deletion policy, do we want to change that? It is definitely confusing because I actually got a bug today. This is internal, someone's testing and run into the same issue. And then he was pointing out the document. The document didn't really say, right, dynamic or static. It says if you delete, then the resource on the system should be deleted. So since we are now having this feature that says we want to honor the PV deletion policy, should we also change that for the statically provisioned PVs? Or is that going to be a problem?
Behavior point of view, it would be nicer and possibly more predictable, but it's also existing behavior. So I wonder if we have to worry about backwards compatibility or putting big fat warnings about the behavior change. Michelle, Ben, anyone else have thoughts on this?
Sorry, I'm in the middle of having my lunch, so I lost the thread.
Yeah, this is about PVCs. There's a problem where if you go and delete the PV object for a dynamically provisioned volume first, the underlying volume won't actually get deleted. And so there's
Oh, yeah.
going on to try to fix that. But in doing so, what Xing and team discovered is, hey, statically provisioned volumes never get dynamically deleted. So even if you statically provision a volume, you delete the PVC, it won't delete the volume because you need some special annotation. And should we change that
But
behavior?
hold on. Statically provisioned PVs can't be automatically deleted because they're statically provisioned.
Yeah, so
Well,
I'm just
it can
talking
have-
about the.
You can, by default, if you create a PV object, the reclaim policy is retained, but you could create your own PV object with a reclaim policy of delete.
No, that's
Right, but
that didn't
but
happen.
all that
I'm
means-
talking about the delete. Hold on. Can we get this one? At least I want to make sure we are on the same page for this one. So if you statically provision a PV, you make your deletion policy delete. That also does not make the call to CSI driver to actually delete that volume.
But
Is
for a
that the same as-
for a statically provisioned volume, that's correct because there is no CSI driver, right?
I know, yeah. I just want to, but yeah. But did you hear the first part, like the why we are fixing this bug, this owner PV deletion policy?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm familiar with the background and always on a
Okay.
reclaim policy. I'm trying to understand what is the thing that's not expected.
Oh, if you go read the document, the
So
website, right?
If I set the reclaim policy on my statically provisioned volume to delete, and then I delete the PVC, what should happen is the PV should go away, but the actual volume should remain. Is that correct?
So
I think it doesn't really align with what the API intent is, right? If you put the reclaim policy as delete, it should delete it no matter if it was dynamically provisioned or in.
yeah, that's why.
No, but the delete only applies. The delete applies to the PV, right? The PV will get deleted if you set the reclaim policy to delete, and if there's no if it was statically provisioned, so there's no provisioner behind it.
But it does not send a request to CSI driver to delete the active resource on the.
But because statically provisioned drivers.
But that's kind of
CSI
still
drivers.
kind of weird. I mean, at least our documentation definitely is not clear on that. It's have so many different cases.
I don't think at the API level we distinguish between like deletion of the PV object versus deletion of the volume resource. I think from like the API's perspective, I think the intention is to delete the volume resource.
So Michelle,
right,
there is a check in our PV controller that checks the annotation. It will only send this request to CSI driver if it has this dynamically provisioned annotation.
Yep. That makes sense to me.
So I was just wondering if we should also change that now. If we say owner PV deletion policy, then should always honor it, right? Because otherwise it's weird. You have to go check this annotation, and how do we even explain to people?
But not all CSI drivers implement volume deletion. Like that's the weird thing, right? Like we have NFS drivers that just do attach and they don't do create and they don't do delete.
But that's fine, right? Then that will just it's going to be a no-op. That's okay.
Well, okay.
So what is so they will never delete it anyway. So right, whether you send to them or not. So that doesn't make a difference, right? So
no, I mean those are situations where like the controller plugin dodoesn't have a create or delete volume call. Like it'll return an error.
That's okay, right? So no, it's not going to. It's a no-op, right? It's just no-op.
It'll return op not supported. So like, you should never call the deletion on the CSI side if it doesn't advertise the capability at the CSI layer to do create delete volume.
Oh, no,
right?
if it's
That's what the
if
CSI
it's not,
spec says.
no, that's what you're saying is different, Ben. If it says it doesn't support, then that's difference. Yeah, if it's not,
I'm
it should not be
talking about
called.
the ones where it is not supported. In
No,
that case,
that we're
Kubernetes
not. I
must
don't think
not call delete volume.
we're changing that. There is another check to check the capability of CSI. That's a different story. So I'm just talking about in general case from the controller layer, right? Should it actually go try to delete this underlying resource? If we are talking about always owner PV deletion policy, then I think we should. It's definitely not consistent, or at least we need to make sure our document is clear, because our document is definitely not clear.
Hey, sorry, I get disconnected again.
So yeah, so that's the thing that we I think the fix that we have done, Deepak did that one for the owner PV deletion policy. Right now, that is only addressing the dynamically provisioned PV case, and then if the order is wrong, then we still allow the deletion to happen if you have deletion as your reclaim policy.
We should definitely move forward with the dynamic provision side. Let's get that merged and out. For the statically provisioned, like I think I agree with Michelle that the API intention is unclear and vague, and I think most people on its surface would probably assume that if you have a reclaim policy set to delete, it doesn't just mean I will delete my PV, it actually means I'll delete my underlying volume. And whether it was statically provisioned or dynamically provisioned, I don't think most people would understand that that would have two different types of behavior. But that said, sorry, go ahead.
What should happen when the driver can't actually do the delete? Should it end up in an error loop? Or should there be a way to break out of that error loop?
Sorry, go ahead.
That's fine. I think that's fine. It should just, driver should, we should just return unsupported or something for, if the driver doesn't support it.
Actually, we won't run into that case, right? Because before we call delete, we check the capabilities to see if it has delete. And
Yeah.
It has delete.
Like the provisioner will return an error saying the driver doesn't support it.
But there may not be, the sidecar might not even be there, right? It's the delete is called by the provisioner sidecar. If there's no sidecar, nothing is waiting for the volume to get deleted.
I think that's okay, right? We always have those checks supported. The plugin you don't support like deletable plugin or something, right? If you're not supported,
but the check is performed by the sidecar, and a CSI.
Oh, are you talking about sidecar?
That doesn't do create delete would not have the sidecar.
Entry. Which one are you talking about?
I think he's talking about the sidecar that's responsible for provisioning and deleting volumes. So
okay, I'm pretty sure that's checked in the provisioner should have a check for that. Whether you
but the provisioner for CSI drivers that don't support create and delete, they're not going to have a sidecar.
Yes, that's what I'm getting at.
Saying, okay, so
you're going to have some volumes that are handled by CSI drivers where the provisioner sidecar is not even present. Nothing is ever going to call delete, and nothing is ever going to return an error. So like, what do you do when the user wants that PV to go away? Do you just let it go away and accept the fact that the underlying volume will never be cleaned up?
No, we won't be able to delete that at all, right? It's not even implemented.
I guess we'll get stuck, right? If we are waiting for the underlying volume to go away, like there's no provision or nothing will cause that deletion to happen.
Yeah, so it will be there still. Yeah, it's not going to be deleted. I think the question
what will happen to the PV? Will we allow the PV to get deleted?
Yeah, PV, of course. Yeah, PV will be allowed because they added the deletion timestamp. The user added that.
That's
different.
We allow PVs to go away without deleting the underlying volume, and it's fine. So,
but I think there's a nuance, right? If it's a deletion, the PV only gets deleted on the. Actually, no. Even if it's delete or retain, the PV object itself doesn't get deleted, right? If the driver doesn't support it.
Are you talking about dynamic?
Like if the driver doesn't support it and the user deletes the PVC, like the PV is going to be around even if it's retain or delete.
Well,
Well,
for
no,
the
I think it's supposed to be retained. If you know
Yeah,
that the driver can't delete it, you set the reclaim policy to retain because you know you can't.
Yes, yes, but say you set it to delete and the driver doesn't support delete, I don't think we're gonna delete the PV object in that case.
I think we are, and because what's the alternative? Just have it be stuck in deleting forever,
Yes,
and that feels weird. What if you
I
change your
think that
mind?
is the current behavior, I believe. I mean, we can easily test this and double check.
What is the thing that prevents the object deletion from succeeding? Is there a finalizer that never goes away?
Like, basically, if it's retained, we don't delete the PV object. If it's delete, we try to issue the delete, right? And we wait for the underlying delete volume call to succeed. And
Well, the
so if
sidecar
it,
does that
yeah,
if it's
and so if
present.
the driver doesn't support it or something like that, like we don't know, we're just gonna be waiting forever for some driver or something to delete the underlying resource.
So my assertion is if the sidecar was never there, the finalizer that would allow it to notice the delete never got applied. And when you delete it, there will be no finalizer to keep the object around. Like if an admin deletes it, directly, it's kubectl
Well, I
delete
think
PV.
when we bind it, when we bind the volume is when we add the finalizer, right? And so there's nothing to remove the finalizer if the driver doesn't support it.
I think there's two finalizers. There's the one that the bind controller has, and there's the one that the external provisioner puts on. And the external provisioner has its own finalizer because it's the one that needs to take it off after its deletion succeeds. But if there was no external provisioner around at the beginning, it wouldn't have added the finalizer, and it wouldn't keep it alive, I don't think. I haven't actually tried this in a long time, but it seems rude to me that we would inhibit the deletion of the PV object forever. If the admin really wants it to be gone and they take responsibility for cleaning up, if it's statically provisioned, someone has a responsibility for
the
deleting
main
it.
thing is that it will leak, right? Like we will leak the volume, and so to prevent leaking, we have the finalizer. If an admin really wants to delete the PV object, they can force remove the finalizer, but at that point, it's kind of up to them to handle like the resource being leaked.
Okay. Yeah. Or if they change their mind and decide they don't want to delete it, they can remove the finalizer, allow the deletion to complete, and then go create the PV again. There needs to be a way to get out of that state where it's deleting forever, right? You can't.
That's right.
That can't be a terminal state.
That's right. Yeah, if they really want to delete it, they can always force delete or remove the finalizer. But I think the finalizer purpose was to prevent like simple mistakes and causing volumes to leak.
All right.
Hey, just a question about this. So isn't it the provisioner that actually deletes the PV as well? So it would never get to like a state of, the finalizer is dangling because there's no deletion type step.
Yeah, that's my understanding. But yeah, we need to actually test this out and
And
see.
so I think the PVC would be deleted and the PV would just be there. So even if you remove the finalizer, it's not being deleted.
Mm-hmm.
But there's a finalizer on the PVC too. After the bind controller puts the finalizer on the PVC, as long as it's bound, because that's the thing that keeps the PVC alive long enough for someone to realize it's time to delete the PV too.
Right, but in this case, it's the static provision, right? So you don't have that
So I
bound.
think,
Yeah.
before
Anyway,
we-
I think we need to time box this.
Yep.
I think, someone should just test out the scenario, see what the current behavior is. We can start a discussion on what we want to do or what we think the best approach will be to handle it.
Okay, yeah. So yeah, we will try this out since we need to figure out what to do with this E2E test.
Yeah, I think putting the actual mechanics aside of what might break if we do this, I think logically it makes sense that if I delete a PVC and I have a reclaim policy set, even if that volume was statically provisioned, I would expect the underlying volume to go away. I agree that this is a change in behavior, and how best to communicate, document that, and not cause any new surprises will be something we'll need to consider. But I think in general,
Right.
I like that direction. I agree with all of Ben's concerns, but I think they're more like that's the way things work today. Not necessarily how they should work.
So the first part is actually already in, where that change is already alpha feature has been there for several releases. The ordering problem. So if we want to add the second part in, we can use the same feature gate, just maybe we just need to keep it alpha for one more release.
Got it. Yeah, let's take the discussion to let's do the homework to understand what the current behavior is and then do a follow-up discussion.
Okay, sounds good.
All right, thank you so much, folks. Any other topics for discussion today?
Someone showed up in the Slack channel with a topic. I think we need to tell them to add it to the agenda.
Okay.
I was gonna meant, huh?
Are they on the call right now, or they're still in?
I'm looking for who it was.
So there is
I just
someone,
noticed-
who want to add a topic, but I asked him to add an agenda to the agenda doc. He said he won't be here today, but
Okay.
maybe next meeting. I
Okay.
if that's the one that you are talking about, Ben.
Yeah. I wanted him to know that the right thing to do was add to the agenda doc, come to the meeting. So thank you for reaching out to him.
I'm not sure if you have a different issue. So there is one that I that I pinned. Let's see. If you have a different one, maybe you can ping him on Slack. This one is.
I'm trying to find it on Slack right now.
Okay, so this one is about sub volumes. Expose sub volumes through auto FS and auto mounts. I'm not sure if this is the one that you're talking about.
Yeah, that was the one that I saw go by in the Slack channel.
Oh, okay,
I meant to respond back to him, and I just didn't do it yet.
So he said he won't be there today. So
All right.
Next time maybe. Yeah, I did ask him to add to the meeting agenda.
Cool. Hopefully we'll tackle that next time. Thank you so much, everyone, for your time, and we'll reconvene in 2 weeks. Take care.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you.